Okay, so I'm going to continue with an example I started in class. I'll start by going back over what we did in class since I didn't record it. This is just a simple example of how to do DOM programming. And the example here, we're going to have the user enter a value, and then we're going to return the squared value. And the first thing we did is we created a user interface. If you look over here on the right-hand pane, there's almost no CS on this yet. Basically, what my approach is get the program running, then go back and reiterate through it and embellish it. So the first time we won't even do any kind of error checking. We'll just go ahead and get it working. So you can see I have input area here, which is a text field, to get the value. And then this is the value that I want to square. And then this is going to be the result here. And then I have a command button called square it. Let me switch to source view here, code view, and so you can see how I made this. As I mentioned in class, we often use the elements from form programming, HTML5 forms, to create user interfaces in JavaScript. We don't create an entire form though. The only time you do that is when you're going to have a form that communicates with the server. So you can see here that I have an input of type text for the input, and by the way, we found out right at the end of class that in HTML5 input is a singleton tag, and it's starting to look like HTML doesn't care if you use this format or this format. I think it's probably better to continue to use the XHTML style, just because you can render your page or interpret your page as an XML file. So I'm going to kind of try and get in the habit of doing that. Okay, so basically I have two input type equals texts, and the size here is the width in characters. And then the ID is important, so val2square is my ID, and then my other one here for the result is called result. Notice I have a bigger size here. Julie mentioned that in class, that we might need a larger size for the square. And then notice how the labels work. So enter value to square is the label for this ID here, and so it's connected semantically with the for attribute. Okay, you should always do that when you create HTML5 forms, or alternatively you can use a placeholder if you're using forms that are probably going to be run on a mobile. The last thing we have here is a button, and this uses the later version of the button here. So button ID equals square button, type equals button, and then square it. This is what the button actually says, and you can see that in the form. Okay, so that's our user interface. Let's go back to our JavaScript. And in class, we kind of read through the logic here. So again, I have the window on load function that delays the load until the page is rendered. And then I have code to grab a handle to my three elements. So input val, output val, and command button. And you can see that I'm using the get element by ID method to go ahead and get each of those items. So here we have a link to the input, then we have a link to the output, and then we have a link to the command button. I started then to create a function, and I'm going to assign the function to the command button once I get it. And in class we went ahead and wrote the programming logic for what the function would do. So it's going to read the value that the user entered. Then it's going to convert it from a string to a number. Remember, whenever you read data from a form or using the prompt, the window.prompt, it will come in as a string. So you need to use either parseInt or parseFloat to convert it. And then we'll actually do the calculation, and then we'll display it by putting it in the output. Okay, so let's continue with the code. So first, to read the value that the user entered, we're going to say get the input value, so input val, and I might want to go ahead and create some variables here, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and create a variable here, var initial val. Yeah, that should be fine. Well, okay, so var initial val, var calculated val. Those aren't great variable names. Alright. I don't know that you need the semicolons here. I just put them in, then I never have a problem. Okay, so basically what I want to do here is initial val is going to be the parse. I guess we could go float here. I didn't really think it through. I guess the user could enter a floating point number. So parse float input val dot value, and that's how we read the value for the input form. So the input val is the name of the field, and then its value is whatever is there. Now later on I'll put some bulletproofing in here and we'll refine this, but for right now we'll just try to get it to work. Okay, so notice that I read the value from the user and I went ahead and already converted it to a string. So let me just go ahead and move this converted it to a number. So let me go ahead and move this up, because we really did that with one statement, right? So now initial val is actually a floating point value. Alright, let's come on down here and we'll calculate the square and assign that to calculated value. So calculated val equals initial val times initial val. Okay, so that's the square. And now to display it, we have to assign it as the val for the output val. So output val dot value equals calculated val. Okay, so that finishes my function up, and now the only thing that I have left to do is I have to assign the function to the command button, and that's real easy to do. Let me scooch this up so it's on the screen. There we go. So command button dot, and we want on click here. Equals square it. Now this is really important. When you assign a function, you don't include the parentheses, you just include the name like that. So you can see that this function up here is called square it. That's what I want to do, and I don't put the parens in there. Alright, let's go ahead and see if this will work or not. I'm going to go back over to my HTML, and I notice I haven't saved it now, so I'll go ahead and save it. And I'll go to live view, and now we'll try it and see. So let's try 3 for our input. Actually, since I put it in, 3's fine. Okay, and then I'll hit square it, and nothing happens. So I've got a problem in there somewhere. Let's see. First thing I'll do, in case the live view didn't work, is I'll try it in the browser. So let me go up there, and I like to use Chrome. Put 3 in there, square it, nothing happens. Okay. Alrighty, let me go back and look through my code and see what I did wrong. Whoops. We don't want this here. Let's kill that. Okay, so it's not working, and I'm not really sure why. So the first thing I do is I think I'll do some debugging here. So I'm going to go ahead and put an alert in here to make sure that the function is assigned is actually being called. So I'm just going to say function called. And I usually try this first and see what's going on, but then I can load it into the IDE and use the debugger if I need to. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the HTML, hit the live view again. Again, I'll try 3. It's my value. And then I'll hit square it. Okay, so I didn't get any alert. One more time, I'll try that in the browser. Turn off live view, preview in Chrome. 3. Square it. Nothing. Okay, so the fact that the alert isn't working tells me there's something wrong in the code. And let's see what's going on here. So let's go to code view. All right. Oops, I'm going to do it up here. Sorry. All right, let me just roll through this. So window unload equals function. And I don't have any JavaScript syntax errors that I can see. Let's see here. So that should work. Get the value, gets it as a string. Parse float turns it into a value. So why doesn't the alert work? Alright. Looks like I'm going to have to debug this baby. Alright, so I'll go ahead and hit the preview in Chrome. Oh, it might still be open from before. Let's try that. Oh, it's not. That's real weird. I wonder what's going on. Alright. I got all sorts of stuff going on today. Okay, Dreamweaver. Oh, you know what? I have to be on the HTML to preview it. Okay, try again. Preview in Chrome. There we go. Alright, let's zoom Chrome out. Go ahead and let's see here. Where is that? History downloads. Let's see, that's Google Cast. Where the hell is the there should be some sort of developer thing in here. Yep, no, I don't want that. Ah, bloody hell. Oh, tools. Okay. Here we go. Developer tools. Alright, let's get rid of the settings. Hell, looks like I have to go back and do it again. Tools. Developer tools. Alright. And so we want the console. Oh, here we go. Cannot set property on click of null. Okay, so that means that I've got a problem with the code that grabs the handle to the square button. So let's go back into Dreamweaver and take a quick look. First we'll check our HTML. So let's go to the source code in the HTML. Square button with a capital B is the name of the button. Go back to our script. Square button with a capital B. That sure looks okay. Let me check it one more time. Oh, it's misspelled here. Okay. Alright. So, let me go ahead and save this. Control S. And I'm going to run it in live view right here in Dreamweaver, just in case I fixed everything. Function called. Okay. Alright, we're getting along. So now the function is working, and for some reason it's not writing the value in. So let's go back into our code. And, maybe I'll just pop on over to Chrome here and reload the page and see if I get anything from my console here. So here we go. There's the alert. Uncut reference. Initial val is not defined. So I probably have a typo in my code there for that too. Let's pop back into Dreamweaver. Go to the JS. Var initial val. Oh, yeah, I'm having a bad day with the typos, huh? So there we go. I bet you saw this when I typed the code, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me? Alright, I think now we might have it. I'll go back to there. Click on the live view again. 3. Square it. Function. There we go. We got our 9. Okay, so of course I can get rid of the debugging message that I had in there. Whoops, sorry. Want to go to script. And there's the debugging alert that I used. We'll get rid of that. So in this case, you can see how using the Chrome debugger really helped me to figure out that I had some typos here. Alright, real quickly, again, we use the value property on our input fields to both read and write the fields. And so here you can see this is where I'm reading it, and then when I do the assignment down here on line 20, that's where I write it. Okay? So we don't usually use the prompt to talk to users. We do use the alert all the time to give them messages and things like that. But when we do a sort of pseudo form programming here, so it's not a complete form, it doesn't have a submit button. Okay, that's kind of funny. You saw me struggle a bit, but I'm guessing that that's already really a good thing, and that'll help you to get your programs to work. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video and post it for you, and we'll see how it works.